Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here tonight to tell you a very strange story. A story so strange that no one will believe it. But ladies and gentlemen, seeing is believing. Ladies and gentlemen, look at Kong, the eighth wonder of the world.
In 1933, Marion C. Cooper released his epic movie titled King Kong. King Kong was a major hit with his audience, in large part due to Willis O'Brien's groundbreaking effects of the time, effects we still use to this day. But this isn't the history of King Kong. No, this is about a sequel to the original 1933 King Kong that was never made by Willis O'Brien himself, King Kong vs. Frankenstein. Before we get into this movie, we must go back to learn about Willis O'Brien himself, particularly his early days as a stop-motion animator.
Willis O'Brien was born on the 2nd of March 1886 in Oakland, California. At age 11, he left home to work on cattle ranches. Later on in his life, he worked on a variety of other things: a boxer, a fur trapper, a bartender, and more. Willis O'Brien was a trail guide for paleontologists, where he grew a great interest to these prehistoric beasts that roamed the world before us. In 1915, Willis O'Brien made his first short film called The Dinosaur and the Missing Link, a prehistoric tragedy, with a budget of $5,000. Funny enough, there's an ape and a dinosaur which would become his two most famous works, The Lost World and King Kong. He created a bunch of stop-motion shorts after The Missing Link, but his first feature-length film would come in 1925 titled The Lost World. During the making of this movie, Willis O'Brien would hire Marcel Delgado, a Mexican-American sculptor, to create more lifelike dinosaurs by adding rubber skin and overlaying it with an articulated metal skeleton to move it more dynamically, fluidly, and making it look real. He also added a bladder which gives the illusion of breathing. Marcel continued to work with Willis in his future projects, including King Kong. Marcel deserves as much credit as Willis does.
In 1960, Willis O'Brien came up with King Kong vs. Frankenstein, a direct sequel to the 1933 King Kong. However, RKO Studios had the rights to the King Kong character. O'Brien showed his story treatment and self-drawn concept art to the president of RKO Studios of the time, Daniel T. O'Shea.
However, RKO Studios wasn't a production company anymore as it almost went bankrupt. Daniel introduced Willis to John Beck, an independent producer who promised O'Brien to find a studio to help his dream become a reality. Beck took the story treatment and sent it to the screenwriter George Worthing Yates to write the script. The movie was retitled either King Kong vs. Ginkgo or King Kong vs. Prometheus. They changed the title, believing Frankenstein was owned by Universal Studios, which is untrue. Once the script was complete, he went to American studios to see if they helped fund the movie, but no one was interested. However, a Japanese company named Toho was interested, but they didn't want Frankenstein, they wanted King Kong. Toho purchased rights to King Kong's character, as Beck kept the promotion rights for the United Kingdom, United States, Israel, and Canada.
And all of this was done behind Willis O'Brien's back. He thought his movie was still being made, but it wasn't. King Kong vs. Frankenstein became the 1962 King Kong vs. Godzilla.